What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Robe the King. You are watching Robe Reacts. This is kind of like an emergency episode of Here's What We Know and all of that. Cause I just needed to address this. I wanted to react to it, and I was gonna take my time with it, but I'm already a couple of days late anyway. I was just gonna let it rock, but then I wanted to react to it, and I don't know, but people keep talking about it, and I just want to get my take on it. So this is part one, because I'm going to do a part two where another podcast is talking about this very issue, and so let's get into it.
Welcome into First Take on this Feel Good Friday. Thank you for being with us. Obviously, Stephen A., an incredible game last night.
Real quick, for all of the bots out there, for all the YouTube bots and older people that don't know how YouTube works and how people do videos on here from time to time, this is a reaction video. So if I'm talking throughout the video, it is because I'm reacting to it. If you want to see the actual video, the title is on, well, you can't see it, but the title is there. So type in something like that and you'll find it. It's titled Stephen A. addresses courtside confrontation with LeBron James at Lakers Knicks. First Take, right? So go there if you don't want to hear me talk, and if you like, well, I do kind of want to hear his opinion on it, then come back here. If you've already seen it and if you just want to watch it with me, it's all good. But don't be in the comments talking about something. I don't like your voice. I hate when you're talking. You're talking too much. I'm reacting. So please, man, please, sir, find another video if you don't like it. But I'm here to react. All right? Let's get it. My channel is called Robe Reacts. I gotta say this every day.
In LA, you were in the building, and we'll get to what that means for the Lakers and Knicks in just a moment. But SA, there was a moment in the game that we want to address.
They probably should stop calling him SA at this point. Like, this isn't the time for that. SA stands for something else right now.
Yes.
Or maybe they're claiming it. Maybe they're taking it back. So here's LeBron James talking to Stephen A.
That was LeBron James coming up to me, unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his son. Can't repeat the words because they ain't suited for FCC airwaves. That's what he was doing. Mm-hmm. I thought long and hard about this over the last few hours because I had no intentions, Molly, of talking about this at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it was a one-on-one, I wouldn't say a conversation, but it was a one-on-one confrontation. But then I wake up and everybody from ESPN and my agent and everybody else were sending me that this thing had gone viral. And so ultimately it was unavoidable, and that is why I have to discuss it now. That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard. By all accounts, he's obviously a wonderful family man and a wonderful father who cares very, very deeply about his son. And based on some of the comments that he had heard, or shall I say, I think he thought he heard, he clearly took exception to some of the things that he heard me say, and he confronted me about it. For the record, his agent and friend, Rich Paul, has my number. Maverick Carter, who works under him, has my number. LeBron James knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted that call. Had he wanted to see me, I would have flown out and I would have seen him and I would have had a conversation man to man. But that is not what he elected to do. Instead, he elected to confront me while I was sitting courtside. Ari Emanuel, the head of William Morris Endeavor, one of the agencies that represents me, along with Larry David, was sitting courtside. I was with them for the game. And he walked right up to me and he said what he had to say. And apparently he feels like I was slighting his son. Now let me tell you what I feel. What I would have said if we were in a different environment, because I was not going to engage in a confrontation at that particular moment in that setting. But if we had had that conversation, I would have said to LeBron James, I never would speak negatively about your son. I was talking about you, meaning you, LeBron James. I have nothing but the best wishes for Bronny James. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope.
That's true. I think that's consistent with what he's been saying. He was telling, it was more so, it was definitely, and I think that's what LeBron was saying. I think they both were saying the same thing. I think because I think LeBron said to him, leave Bronny out of this, leave Bronny out of this. But and I got thoughts on that, but I'm reacting right now. And what I've heard Stephen A say was, this is your fault as a father because he's not ready. We understand that, like, he was like, all right, he should have played one game in the NBA with you, and then y'all should have shot him down to the G League. So like he was saying that. So this is consistent with what he's been saying. It wasn't so much about LeBron. He like, oh, he's trash, he's trash, he's trash. Oh, hey, LeBron. It was mainly about the critique about LeBron going on this this whole father-son tour and all of that type of stuff. When you know that he's not ready to be on this type of level, and that's just where he was coming from. So that's consistent.
Hope that he flourishes into an NBA star. Usually in other sports, we see all-stars, and on occasion, we'll see their children become stars as well. That doesn't really happen with the NBA. I sincerely hope he's the exception. By all accounts, he's a wonderful kid.
Right. A lot of times if you see a decent father in the NBA, sometimes his son will become a superstar. A la Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Jason Tatum. Apparently his dad played a stint in the NBA, right? But you rarely see it the other way, where the father was really good and his son usurps him, or is like, you know what I mean, or is like way better than his dad. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see that. Kenyon Martin Jr. is decent. You know, you got who else is in the NBA? Tim Hardaway Jr. is decent. You know what I mean? Doc Rivers, you know, Austin Rivers, you know what I mean? So the list goes on with the amount of players, sons that are in the league, but they hardly ever surpass their dads if they're like incredible players.
And I don't know anybody who roots against him, and it certainly isn't me. But in the same breath, at the time that we were talking about him, he was percolating to such a degree that the Bronny James stories had gone viral. And so we had to talk about it. And when I said the things that I said, I wasn't talking about Bronny James, because my attitude is he's a rookie. It's going to take some time for him to get himself together.
Right.
He'll be just fine, especially with
He came out too early.
J.J. Redick and the staff coaching him. I was talking about the position that he was put in by his dad.
That's real.
Because LeBron James has been on the record, and he has said, and I'll read the quote here. There was a quote that he gave in February of 2024. The work and results will ultimately do talking, no matter what the size. If y'all don't know, he doesn't care what mock drafts say. He just works, earned, not given, etc., etc. But he also had said that his son could play on the Lakers right now.
That's what he said.
And he was better than half the dudes in the NBA.
That's what he said.
In the aftermath of all of that, he instructed everybody before the draft that y'all want me, draft Bronny. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I'll be. I'll do whatever it takes to play with my son for a year. It's not about the money at that point. My point months ago was that because of who you are, one of the top 2 players in the history of basketball, in my estimation, there's an immense amount of pressure.
He's top 5 in my opinion.
That comes with that for his son. And when he talked like that and what have you, anything that goes awry as it pertains to his son, there's going to be a microscopic eye, even more intensified, on Bronny James because of his dad. And that's when I was talking about, come on, man, this is the situation that you're putting him in.
Right.
That's where I was coming from. I could be a bit more outspoken about it. But to be quite honest with you, to be in that moment, to have LeBron look at me the way that he did, for me to be a father of 2 daughters, for me to know what fathers, how much love fathers have for their children, and to hear what he had to say, it was all about his son. It was almost as if he was saying, you know, you and I, because he and I don't necessarily vibe. It's high and by. We keep it moving. Neither of us lose sleep over it. And it's been that way for years. But it was like he was saying, keep that between me and you. Almost as if he was thinking that anything that I said about Bronny was a result of him. And in that situation,
It is, though. It is. Anything that happens to him from the moment that he got drafted is a product of what LeBron has done. You know what I mean? From the moment that he got to USC, in my opinion, you know what I mean? From the moment where, like, when he was starting and they was trying to integrate him, introduce him into the lineup and all of that type of stuff, all the way up to him being drafted, all the way up, all the way up to him leaving college to get drafted and to be drafted in the 2nd round at all. You know what I'm saying? And then to be playing on the Lakers for multiple games as opposed to going to the G League. You know what I'm saying? All of that is a product of LeBron. So therefore, the critique is a product of him as well because of what he is displaying. This is all you. You did all of this. You pushed this forward. This is a you thing. This is on you.
again, I wasn't talking about Bronny. I was really talking about him because of the position that Bronny was in. But I really understood where he was coming from. He was very upset. I could tell. He could have called me. I'd have came to see him. I'd have had a conversation.
He didn't want to call you. He wanted to talk to you face to face. He wanted to confront you face to face. A phone call wouldn't have done what he wanted it to do, speaking to you face to face. So I hate when he says that. Like, oh, you could have called me. I hate when people say that. No, I'm going to see you. I hate when it's not like he was talking to you. It's not like he was talking to you through people or anything like that. He spoke directly to you. So that is like, I hate when people say that like that means anything. Like, you could have called me. No, I want to see you. When I see you, I'm going to see you. That's all it is.
Conversation with him. He could have been just as upset face to face, man to man, as opposed to being courtside at the game. I had no idea that everybody saw it until I woke up this morning.
That's also a fact. It's the sheer fact that you kind of making a spectacle of it in the middle of the game. You know what I mean? Obvious. This might have been before the game began or whatever. I agree with that. Like, it's mad people around, and so you trying to make a scene, I guess, like trying to make it look like you sunning me in front of everybody. I don't really rock with that. You had a conversation with me privately, and that's that. Not necessarily on the phone, but yeah, like maybe having like a little meeting about it or whatever it is. It's like, bro, if maybe you could direct your comments more towards me or whatever. I'm probably still not going to do that because I'm a sports analyst and your son is playing a sport on a high level. So I'm going to talk about him as if he's one of the players. It's very, very rare. It almost never happens, where a father and a son are playing pro sports together. You know what I'm saying? So this is a rarity that you don't see every day. So no, I'm not going to have the same decorum, or I'm going to keep the same decorum that I have with any other player that's in the league, whether you are LeBron James or not. That part is ridiculous. I'm critiquing him, but I'm really critiquing you, and y'all both play in the league, and I can give my opinion however and wherever and whenever I want. They paying me $100 million at this point to do it.
But it is what it is. In the end, like I said, I as a father, I get it. I'm not offended. I'm not insulted. I don't have any animosity or animus toward.
As a father, I get it. But also as a father, I wouldn't put my child in a situation that they couldn't handle. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't put them in a position that they wouldn't handle to even to be able to handle the scrutiny that comes with being on the level. And me being LeBron James, I understand that scrutiny better than anybody that has ever played. I understand that scrutiny better than Michael Jordan because I'm constantly being compared to him. I understand it better than anybody. I'm the quote-unquote face of the league that was thrust into this position or whatever he was saying, as if he didn't want to be the face of the league. That's hogwash, LeBron. He always saying stuff like that. But I wouldn't put my child in a predicament that they couldn't handle. That's number one as a father. And so when all of the selfishness wears off, when all of the selfishness of it all wears off, because, I just want to play with my son. I just want to play with my son. I want to play with my son in the NBA. When all of that wears off and you stuck with the reality of it all, now you want to tell everybody to stop talking about it and keep it on me. You're doing your job. You're kind of doing more than your job at this point. And I'm doing my job, sir.
Towards LeBron James for this, nothing like that. I don't think he cares, but neither do I. I'm just stating fact. None of that exists. If I was in his position, I can't definitively say I would not have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming him one bit. I get it. I understand it.
I would have said, hey, man, kind of like chill out maybe a little bit, like maybe ease up, or I would give you some other stats to put in there with that, or give you some other intangibles or something to go with it. But that comes with it. People, and this is what having your cake and eating it too means. I wish I had two cakes here so that I could show you what it means. If I eat a cake, then I have no more cake. That's what having your cake and eating it too means. The cake is gone once I eat it. People want to eat it and still have it there to continue to eat and it not go away at all. That's what it means, J. Cole. And so the same is true. Man, if you take the pros with it, then you got to take the cons with it. And LeBron understands that, which is why this is kind of like, I'm like, man, I was kind of proud of him for not doing stuff like this in the beginning, but now here we are, and I guess it's not panning out how he wanted it to pan out. And so now I'm going to direct my frustration towards Stephen A., who hasn't even really said anything disparaging of his son, just saying, hey, man, he's not ready, and you doing him a disservice. And that's a fact.
And there's a part of me that aches and hurts because of it. But unlike a whole bunch of people with their podcast and beyond that talk about the NBA, I covered the NBA.
Right.
And it's my job to talk about the subjects and the subject matters that matter.
Exactly.
I work for ESPN. I'm here. We have the #1 morning show for the last 13 years and counting. God has blessed us with that. There's a lot that's going on, and there's a lot of stories that are there to be told. And I just feel it's necessary to remind people, Molly, I was raised as a journalist. Let's be very, very clear about what that means. I'm not one of those that get into people's private affairs.
Right.
But what you do on a public platform for public consumption, that's what I cover. That's what I do for a living. And if you're in the NBA, that applies to you. I don't want enemies. I live a very good life. I like to make people laugh and smile and have a good time and all of that other stuff. But I also get paid to call it like I see it.
Right.
And
that's my job.
I said at the time, I stand by what I said.
He's in the NBA. He plays in the NBA. I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about why is somebody who's averaging 0.9 points a game, 0 point whatever rebounds, 0 point whatever assists, 0 point whatever else, a game is still in the league and is playing important minutes. You know what I mean? Like, why are you getting why are you not getting garbage minutes, if any minutes at all? You know what I mean? Like, why? I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about you, how that's bringing the team down, how that doesn't help. I'm going to talk about that. And then y'all are the Lakers. So that's a big market, and that's who we get paid to talk about the most. I mean, that's what brings ratings. And I know everybody's talking about, I know they were like, I know Shaq was, or no, it wasn't Shaq. It was Charles Barkley, who was saying like, why are we not talking about OKC and why are we not talking about Cleveland? I'm like, because they don't bring ratings. They could be killing, which they are. You know what I mean? They both had a playoff berth. You know what I mean? They birthed, it's mad early still, mad games left in the season still, and they got playoff spots already. You know what I mean? And that's amazing. But the big market is the Lakers. The big market is the Knicks. The big market is San Francisco. So they're going to be talking a lot about those teams. The New York Giants. They're going to be talking about the Cowboys. Those are the teams that they're going to be talking about. And if somebody is on that team that is impacting the team, whether negatively or positively, they're going to talk about that person. And LeBron, again, I can't stress this enough. LeBron knows this.
It wasn't even any reporting. The facts were out there. And what I was saying about LeBron is fact-based because of what he said and the things that he said leading up to his son getting drafted and ultimately being in the NBA on the same team as him, as opposed to being a Boston Celtic or a Golden State Warrior. Mm-hmm. There is no way around that. And when you are born and raised as a journalist, not born and raised, but when you're raised as a journalist professionally, you don't want enemies, but you ain't paid to make friends. Mm-hmm. You got to call it like you see it. And that's what I did. So again, in closing, I just want to say, I'm not upset. I don't care. I wish that it wasn't in that kind of atmosphere. I wish it was in a private setting.
Yep.
I don't blame LeBron James for being upset. I don't blame him for being angry. I don't blame him for wanting to confront me because that wasn't a superstar basketball player that confronted me. He played like one again last night, which just reminds you of his focus and his greatness.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a basketball player that approached me last night.
Let's get
that was a daddy.
What happened on the court. And Stephen A., I appreciate you putting yourself in his shoes, and I'm glad that LeBron got to address what's on his heart as well.
I'm glad about it. I thought he was going like, oh, LeBron, I'm sorry. I should have been more docile. I should have been more sensitive in my approach. I thought he was going to do that. So when I react to things, I watch them blindly. And so, like, that's probably why I talk throughout it, because I'm watching it for the first time. You know what I mean? And just like you watching this video for the first time, I'm watching that video for the first time. And so I thought he was going to come in there and just, man, I won't say anything else. And I'm going forward, because I've seen him do that before. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? But on this, yes, I'm glad he understands who was speaking to him at the time. That was the dad that was talking to me. You know what I mean? But I think at the same time, yes, you still need to call it like you see it, because you're a journalist and that's your job. That's my take. Robe Reacts. We out.